Religion does not put a limit to your creativity. You put a limit to your creativity. Sometimes when you are in the box, that's when you need to think, like really think about the artist. I tell you that I was in the church, but I was trying to actually express. There were laws. There were laws.
Welcome, Icon.
Thank you.
A privilege to have you here.
Absolutely.
To kick things off, can you share a bit about your journey as a creative entrepreneur and a transmedia storyteller, and how you found yourself in the intersection between design, storytelling, and culture?
I feel it's the environment I grew up in. It's how I saw things, how I saw the world, and the way I could solve these things is through these things that I've talked about. The intersection of design, creativity, culture, and all of that. So I grew up in Ojota. Yeah. So I was one of those people that would sit behind and look at how the street is moving, how things are done. How can you make living better for people? How can you make thinking better for? How can you merge the culture of the streets and use it to actually bring people out of where they are? So all of these things actually informed how I saw life and the kind of things I chased to actually solve these things.
That's amazing. I mean, growing up in Ojota, how did the whole Afrocentric vibe enter into like your words and everything? Because I mean, there are other people that live in that area too, and I mean, they see the same thing, but they don't perceive or transfer that into what they do. So how do you bring yourself to do that?
I think this was just my own personal discovery. My ears, I always listen to mostly. I'm just tuned like that. I like to listen to a lot of Afrocentric things.
Okay.
I like to see a lot of Afrocentric things. So I think it's me. Even my parents, I don't think that they really influenced that as much as possible. I think it's just the way I saw life. Maybe something had happened I can't remember, but I just noticed that I tilted more towards listening to particular kind of things. I like to be in particular kind of setting, and I like to also do things. There was a period in my life that I never read anything that is not like African.
Wow.
Like I never watched things that were not African. Like I liked watching those things. But later on that I started opening myself up to different world views and all of that. I have extreme beliefs too. I believe that people we should actually solve African problems by staying in Africa to solve those problems. So I don't think that a lot of problems can be solved by outsiders because they cannot understand the context of things. So I have extremes, but I don't think Ojota in itself actually was was the key factor to the Afrocentricism, or it would have actually given a base to it. I think my uncles, maybe, I stayed with a lot of people and they listen to a lot of Wasi, a lot of Father U-turns, a lot of things like that in the 90s. So we're not predominantly rap guys and all of that. We listen to more local stuff. Maybe that could have helped. But I can't pinpoint where exactly it started. I just know when I got into uni, I was that guy, Afrocentric guy, I was that guy, and I started building my way out of everything.
Out of that. That's amazing. So apart from like listening to local songs like Wasi and all, which other things did you derive like inspiration from with respect to
Afrocentricism? I think people, literature, of course, a lot of literature actually. Like I said, I read. I don't read so much these days like I used to, but I read a whole lot of Achebe, a lot of Ngugi Ongo. That's a East African writer, a lot of Ghanaian writers and all of that. So I think that also Cyprian Ekwensi, all of that helped actually. They help. So literature, I think music, literature, people.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the people embody the Afrocentric vibe, really.
Yes, they do, actually.
Because somebody from outside cannot influence or cannot relate on certain levels, unlike the people, which is really amazing. Okay, real quick, help us sell your market small. What are some of the things you've handled?
Some of the things I do, it's always very, very, when I tell people, it's always like, you do too much. And I'm like, if I don't do that too much, I feel faint. And it's not because you just want to do too much, but because you have so much creative energy.
Yeah.
And things that you and a madness, but a method to that madness. So for me, I have a way I work in years, and in the last 10 years, that's my 20s, all through my 20s, I used it to direct mastery, which was why I worked a lot in carpentry. That's why I have Alaga collections, fashion as well, and all of that. But now I'm going more into expertise.
What do you mean by expertise?
Now I'm a master creative now. I mean, I've gotten to that level, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying.
Fact.
I'm a master creative.
Get evidence.
And I can oversee, what's it called? People that are doing what I did at the beginning, which was to actually get their hands dirty and do a lot of work. So I have been there. I've done that. I've done a lot of things. I've done photography, videography. I've done design, graphics design. I've done plenty of things. I've been an OAP. I've been a model. I've done a lot of things. So now I'm just bringing everything together to make sense. I help other creatives in that level to also make sense of things. So I have my furniture business, which is Alaga, my furniture brand, which is Alaga, and we create very, very unique furniture pieces. You've worked with me before, so you know. I have Casual, which is a fashion brand. I own that as well. Of course. Then I have an agency, a creative agency called Hashtag, and we just like to do creative things. So we're always looking to work with the most ambitious brands. So like this event we are in now, we work on it together. That's Hashtag work on it. So it's not just marketing, it's a whole 360 creativity. So if you want us to sell you on top of water or inside water to fish, we'll think about it. We'll have to think through the process of actually doing what it is. So we have that. Of course, Street Church, which I'm fortunate to be the founder of also. And of course, in extension, Love and Life Festival. We have a Love and Life Festival coming in about 15 days from now. Yes, 15 days from now. From when we recorded this, actually. So December 10th. And Love and Light has grown to be the biggest Afro Gospel festival in Africa. So we want to even make it go as big and wild as possible. So these are some of the things I do. There are some other things I don't. I also consult creative consultations and all of that as well. So a lot of
that's amazing. I mean, the first time Street Church came to light, I think Street Church was like your most recent big project, and it just came like a storm, right? And it is heavily religious inclined, right? So now to the other question, is there a limit, or does religion cause some kind of limit to creativity, especially with respect to Afrocentric influence or inspiration?
I mean, I think religion does not put a limit to your creativity. You put a limit to your creativity. And it's our mindset that puts our our creativity in check. I even tell people that you actually get more creative when you are put in the box. So when people think out of the box, I always feel like you are just being lazy sometimes. Sometimes when you are in the box, that's when you need to think, like really, really think.
That's amazing.
That's when, so if you put people that have been able to be creative in the church, you put them outside of the church, that's why they do way better. Think about the artists that tell you that I was in the church, but I was trying to actually express. There were laws that were actually holding me down from not doing this, but I was still trying to express. Once they get out and they are able to find another way to express, that's thinking out of the box now. They go all the way. But there are some people that think inside that box that still succeed. Do you understand? So you need to understand it that number one, but the box is not your enemy. Religion in itself is not your enemy. Religion in itself is because humans have to have rules. So there are rules that are set. So if you can't, what creativity does is, despite the rules, you find a way. Despite the rules, I find a way. So for Street Church now, despite the set guidelines, we still found a way to communicate to the people. Now, is it what's it called? Is it thinking out of the box? Think not. Yes, you might say yes, it's thinking out of the box. For me, I think thinking out of the box is overrated. So maybe that's what I'm hammering on it. I think we just stuck inside the box, but brought something else inside that box.
Inside that box, yeah.
Do you understand? Now, people are now seeing that box differently. Like, this thing can actually be different. I can actually do things in a particular way. So, yeah, I think creativity in itself is you are the one that puts a lane, that puts a, what's it called, on your creativity.
Yeah.
No matter where you are, no matter the box you are, you can actually be creative from inside that box. Yeah. So, I want to see a lot more people actually take Christianity, take their faith and actually express it in diverse creative ways. Even Jesus was very creative. Jesus did not preach in the temple. He didn't preach in the temple per se. He was preaching outside, water side. So he carry you go outside. I'll preach you for water side. I go do on top boats and I go do there. We collect breeze. They collect cool breeze. That is hearing what I'm saying.
Exactly.
And it was not preaching to them with scrolls and stuff. He was teaching them real life lessons. It was street church, but in that time, because he was speaking to them in a language they understood, which was agriculture. So the parable of the seed and the do you understand what I'm saying? The parable of what's it called? The sower, the parable of this and that, like that. It was mostly, if you notice, it was mostly agricultural inclined because we were more agricultural guys then. So if you come and use that for us now, we will not understand, but most of us will be streets. There's a pop culture lingo. There's a way that people already are actually see things now. So it's easier for him to come and say, with the roll dice, I got the green double six. Because all of us, we know when we small. Misha, I don't know. Me say, like, they watch them, nobody will be bad, but like, boys just dice. At least they play Ludo.
True.
You go roll the dice, you find double six.
True.
But now only God they give double six. No matter how they say some people know how to do it actually, that they do double six, but it's still God. The wind can blow it anyway, and it's not do double six. So
I mean, that's amazing. There is a particular mantra that I have, which is that, you know, design actually, or even creativity, should be a means to solving a problem. And to me, that problem is even like the box. Okay, real quick, talking about Jesus telling stories. What role does storytelling play in this Afrocentric influence and culture in the world stage? Because Alaga collection at some point was recognized by Vogue and Cultured magazine. So basically, what role does storytelling play in propagating Afrocentric culture, influence, design on the global stage?
So I think for me, you have to tell authentic stories. So a lot of people see Afrocentrism as Ankara, as the fabric, Ashoke, look a particular way and all of that. But it's beyond that. It's actually the in-depth stories that we actually tell, whatever it is that we are actually doing. So storytelling is actually important because in the proverb of Chino Achebe, it's an Igbo proverb. I read it in the book, in the last book he wrote, which was there was a country. It said that a man that does not know where the rain began to beat him will not know where he dried his body. That means someone that does not even have a sense of history. And the way we can actually keep our history is to tell authentic stories with everything and anything that we have. For me, I started using furniture, but that's not the only way. I'm actually telling stories. I'm telling stories with anything I can lay my hands on. Even the Afro Creative Club, like you said, is a story that is building. Because we picked inspiration from what's it called? The Umbari Club of Chino Achebe. So that's a story that is building. Stories in themselves are actually very important. And for us to actually scale the African story, I'm not going to call it the Afrocentric story. It's the African story. For us to scale the African story, we have to tell authentic stories, not pretentious stories, not to pander to people. We want to tell the story of what you see.
Hey guys, if you are enjoying this interview, do me a solid favor, hit the like button and smash that subscribe. Trust me, you want to wait behind to finish this interview. Alright, let's get back into it.
For example, I did a chair. It's called Danfo chair.
Yeah.
Yes. And I didn't do it because I wanted to sell the next best chair. That's a good marketing also. Do you understand? But I did it because I wanted to keep a story alive. So at that period, they were saying they were going to face out the Danfo, the yellow and black of Lagos and all of that. Yeah. But I was like, why? That this is like the identity of Lagos. Why are you going to do that? Then I came up with the idea that if they're taking the Danfo out, let's save it in the chair. Everybody uses chairs. The people will most likely go into a space and see that and be like, I like these colors. The colors are popping, yellow and black. Yeah, and they tell, there's a story behind it. This is what it is, this is what it is like. That's like, you're keeping that in. There's another chair called Oshuka chair. Yeah. It was strangely, I thought everybody knew what an Oshuka is. At least we grew up in southwestern Nigeria. Strangely, someone, her name is something around. I don't blame her, I'm not saying this thing. It's just, she didn't grow up around here. Yeah. And I was like, she was like, I love this chair, I love this spiral house, because we did exactly like an Oshuka. I was like, the name is Oshuka. What's Oshuka? I was like, that thing that you put on your head now when you want to put water. Said she has never put water on her head before. Do you understand? Yeah. So the realities of that authenticity of the story is actually very, very important that we keep going and all of that. So storytelling is very important, but don't just tell stories because you want to tell stories or you want to impress people. Tell stories because they are meaningful and they are going to actually transcend you yourself. They have to transcend what you are. It's not just about you, but even if it's your own story, you need to see that it transcends you, that it can actually impact other people's life. So storytelling is a no-brainer. The best storytellers would actually be the ones that win. Apple is one of the best storytellers. That company, what they are selling to us is storytelling. Trust me, it is story. They are just selling stories to us and we buy it. That's what we buy from them. So whoever is going to win in the future, we are going to, because there are a lot of narratives that are winning, that are being lived rather with the advance of technology. So the people that have the best stories are the ones that are going to win. So we have the opportunity as Africans because there are a lot of untapped stories here that we can actually tell to the world. So.
True. I mean, authenticity is very important when it comes to storytelling. And like you said, we have an abundance of that in Africa. Yeah. However, sometimes that comes with its own downsides or pitfalls because it could lead you into somewhere where you are like, you don't know if this will be received by everyone. So real quick, can you share like some challenges that you've had with respect to, this your creative journey?
I've had a lot of challenges, but I don't actually dwell on them. So I don't know. For example, you have a lot of bad people in Nigeria. You have a lot of terrible people in Nigeria. And sometimes you want to just leave everything and not do it again because of that. But I've just kept going because I know what I'm looking out for. And I know I would be restless always without actually doing what's my work. Especially doing with Nigerian artisans. Have you dealt with Nigerian artisans before? They're my major problem. I actually left my furniture business for a while, for almost 2 years. I was just doing the basic things. Even up until this year. It's just this year now that I decided that I was doing some things low-key. That next year, we're not going to release new collections. I've not released a new collection since 2020. Wow. I've not released a new collection. Last collection I released was, that's bad actually. But Nigerian artisans showed me shege. They showed me shege. And I'm not someone that likes to use police to hold people. So now I've just found a way around it where they are lawyers. We do it civil way. You do what I'm not supposed to, you do what you're not supposed to do. I don't need to, the lawyers will come and attend to you and all of that. But it really scarred me in a particular way. That's one way. I think other ways are like, they don't give us access to things that can actually help creative. We don't have access to it. I'll just give you an example. I wanted to do a documentary about Nigerian history. And I went to the National Museum. They were like, no phones, no, nothing. So I understand you trying to preserve some things and make them work. Yeah. But I don't understand it when you don't have, when everything is almost in cobwebs, and you're telling me no phones, no phone. In this time and seasons that we are in, I feel like the world is morphing. People go to museums all over the world and they take pictures of what it's. You should even be encouraging more people to come and look at these things. But we have a lot of laws like that in Nigeria that actually stops you from. I was also doing a film one time. No, I was doing a documentary one time in a market, and the amount of money you have to pay. You don't even want to be creative again. You don't. They came to pitch my videographer. What? They eat our camera, eat it away, blah blah blah, and all of that like that. I was not there that day. Funny enough, I went to someone else. So they went telling me money. I think they paid about 30K or something. This was a long time ago, so it's a lot of money. So these things affect, and a whole lot more other things. They affect how creative we become. But I say that still, we don't do it because of. We do it even still upon still. We still do it. We still do what we need to do. But the challenges, they are too daunting. There are a lot of them. A lot of them. We are working here right now, and there are a lot of things that we faced just to do it. But we move on.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I know you're very busy, so let's just try to wrap up. So, what advice will you give someone who is, let's say, an aspiring creative, or even in their journey already, especially for someone who derives their inspiration from Afrocentric culture? You know, what advice will you give to person? And also, what would you say is like the future of Afrocentric inspired creative endeavors?
Now, I just tell them not to be lazy. That's just it. A lot of creatives are lazy. They are creative, but they are lazy.
How do you mean?
You do half-baked work. And I said it earlier that you have to tell authentic stories. And in telling authentic stories, sometimes you take time.
Hard work.
But all of us want to blow, put in. And James Cameron, he did the last Avatar in 2010 or 2009 rather. The last one he did is this year, was it last year?
Yeah.
Do you see how long it took him to do that? Before he did that Avatar, he had been researching on it since as far back as Titanic. I read somewhere that even Titanic was, he got into the vibe of Titanic because of this Avatar movie. Wow. So because of his deep diving into the sea to understand the sea life, that was where he got to actually see the Titanic, and it was like, let's do a film on it. So they did the Titanic. The film was actually going after. They did 18 years after the Titanic. So you see that these things, they're not, it's creative. You have the idea, but the execution can take you as long as possible sometimes. So you cannot be an half-baked or a half-baked creative. You cannot be lazy about how you actually do things. And I advise creatives that sometimes maybe you have something that is paying you while you are just chasing that line of what you want to do. What you want to do. For us in Africa, we have authentic stories, but a lot of times we put them out and they become workshops. I'm not even talking of film now, I'm not talking of music. Even in the way we actually put out the basic things like that, you have to actually work hard towards it to keep. And we are at the bottom of the triangle. We have to find a way that our voice is the loudest. That we eat, when we are eating something, we eat it so hard that they can hear it at the top. So we can also move to the top of this thing. So I think that's my only advice. Don't be lazy. Don't just be lazy.
Hard work. Okay, so where do you see the future of, Afrocentric inspired designs and expressions?
I would rather say African creativity. I see African creativity taking over the world in the next 2 decades. So we've seen it with Afrobeats already. I believe film is next. From there, a whole lot of other creative ventures from design would also go all the way to the world. I see it happening. Africa is next. We have authentic story. You have to, and the world sees it. So they are coming for it. But we have to also position ourselves to be actually wise and not sell ourselves short. We can't afford to sell ourselves short. We have to have people that have sense. And I also see a lot of creative schools, curriculums being changed to actually fit into the creative, especially in Nigeria, because we have a high creative side. So that's where I see the future, and I am very glad to be a part of that future. Very happy to be part.
Thank you very much. All right,
So
guys.
much.
Thank you. If you have any questions for Icon, please drop it in the comments. Thank you very much, Icon.
Nice doing this. Thank you.
All right, boss.
All right.
Take care.
And it's a wrap.